What are you drinking? What are you drinking there, Forrest?
I'm having, oh, I'm having rum, but a very particular rum, and I forgot that they're like two flavors. I'm getting it's cranberry. I think one of them's
Right.
cranberry, and there's like another flavor in there, and it's rum
Oh,
with Fentimans Coke because I don't do things by half, mate. This is a flavored rum.
I mean, you've went all out. I mean, for
Oh,
the first podcast, you have gone all out on your drink,
you
on your
gotta go.
first tipple.
You gotta go. You gotta start as you mean to go on, mate. And
Do you
that,
know what I got? Do you know what I got?
yep.
Okay. A spirit also. I've gone for what I think is probably going to be the choice of drink from our protagonists in the film that we're going to be talking about today. So it's a whiskey. Okay, it's actually a single malt. I probably think our protagonists probably would go for a bourbon, but this is a single malt, and the glass represents what happens in the first scene of the film we're about to talk about. So I thought this is the perfect start, the perfect drink. Why are we here, Forrest?
We are the guardians of the multiverse,
We are.
obviously.
We
My
absolutely are.
name's Forrest, and
Hi, I'm Matt. Yeah, I'm waving.
the wave is going to be.
I did a physical wave there when I know there's people listening. So just so you know, for any audio description, I'm waving. I'm waving, right, and I'm carrying on. I've committed to it.
My favorite bit about the wave, it wasn't even a gentle wave. That was a full-on committed hello to the fans.
It's quite aggressive, wasn't it?
That just a terrible, incredibly exciting. That's what that wave was.
Yeah. Hello. I am Matt. Yeah. Welcome to. We are the guardians of the multiverse. And what do you mean by that? What do we mean? What do you mean by that, Forrest? What do we mean by that?
So we are in love with the Marvel universe, like completely and utterly in love with it. I mean, there's a lot that we don't know. Like, in no way are we going like fully to town with these, with the films, with anything we discuss. We are two blokes that love it, but I don't know about you, Matt. I can't convince anyone that we know everything. You know,
Yeah.
Like, we're looking at it from these are good films.
These are amazing films.
Not necessarily like the comic lore, like all of that.
Yeah. And this is the thing as well. Like, so we had a discussion weeks ago, didn't we, about, okay, let's make a podcast, because what we usually do, and this is true. So me and Forrest, we've known each other for a few years now, right? And most of the time, our conversations are about either an MCU movie or a DC movie, right? And we usually find times, don't we, in our diaries and our busy schedules to go out and go and see these movies and then talk about them. And then we're like, well, let's make this a podcast, because we're just two normal dudes living in a post-COVID world, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where we've been probably consuming too much podcasting over the last couple of years, and yet we thought, let's make one ourselves.
Absolutely. As if there's not enough podcast. We've not only are we talking about a topic where there is far too much out there, we're also decided to do it in the only way, in the only medium that there is actually an incredible abundance of. So we have gone to town with finding the most impossible way of garnering any traction to what we do. So to the two people who are listening and will carry on listening for 3 episodes, thank you.
That's true. But we like to talk about, our superhero movies. And I know there's loads of people out there that like to talk about superhero movies too. And like Forrest said, we are not your nerd. We're not going to talk about source material. Okay,
Yeah.
we're not going to go in comic book this one and this one and this year we're not going to. We're going to have just a really light deep dive into. Well, we've decided, haven't we? We're going to start with the first MCU movie that created and started all of this, which is Iron Man.
100. Yep, it's the only way to start.
It is the only way. Yeah, that's right.
Iron Man. We're gonna take you back to
2008.
I'm
guessing.
It is May 2008.
Nailed it.
The 2nd of May, my birth month, no less. We're going to take you all the way back to, right? You know, I can't remember what happened in 2008.
I was going to say, can you cast your mind back to 2008? What was Forrest doing in 2008? Did he watch Iron Man in 2008?
Ooh, 2008. Do you know what? I would have been in May, year 10. I'd have been little year 10-year-old. Yeah, not year 10-year-old, but year 10 would probably make me about what, 14, 15?
Yeah, about
that. Around then. So yeah, little 14, 15, 14 years old. It was my birth month. So I would have been 14, going on 15. You know, I would have been looking at the world, teenage years, been in a lot of angst. And I did I watch it in the cinema? I cannot remember, because to be honest, going back then, it wasn't a universe. It was this was Iron Man. I tell you what, we'd had Spider-Man. We'd had the 3 Spider-Man films.
Yeah, there's that Tobey Maguire. That is
Tobey Maguire. Yeah, so we'd had those 3 films. Fantastic,
amazing movies, by the way. And we probably will at some point need to talk about those movies because they are amazing. Anyway, carry on. Yeah.
Very, very true. Very true. And if we think of the last film, or one of the last films we watched, pivotal to that.
100%.
But let's not get carried away. We might not get to that podcast. It carries on like this. Who knows, mate? If we ever get to the first film. So I don't know if I saw the film, and I couldn't tell you if I saw the film in the cinema. I'd like to think I did.
Good to know it was memorable, mate. Good to know it was memorable.
Well, this is the thing. I watched it the other day. So one of the things me and Matt said is, obviously we'll go back and watch these. Like, we're not trying to remember anything. Like, we've made notes, some less comprehensive than others.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Matt's notes, but the I can't remember, but I hope. What about you? Did you see it at the cinema?
I did. So if I hark back to 2008, I was 18. So I was just about to go into my degree, I think, just before. And I do remember seeing it in cinema at the Odeon. And I do remember not knowing anything about who an Iron Man is. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I was like, who is this Tony Stark? Before then, and this is the thing, 2008 for me was blindsided by one incredible movie that is a superhero movie that has been a pivotal movie in my lifetime in terms of like top 3 movies of all time. And that is The Dark Knight, right?
Wow. Yes.
2008 was a massive year for superhero movies. Yeah. You know, DC having The Dark Knight come out and everything going on around that, and obviously the tragedy around Heath Ledger and that performance that Heath Ledger gave, utterly iconic. And then all of a sudden, within months before that, Iron Man came out with Tony Stark being played by Robert Downey Jr., who at the time was trying to resurge his career by playing this role. And funny enough, you know, traditionally, DC don't really win in the kind of blockbuster movies. I also think, and the kind of the reason why I brought up The Dark Knight is that if you look at the stories, that both of them are rich, privileged, playboy bachelors, okay, with lots of money and a good eye for tech. So DC has Bruce Wayne. Yeah. Marvel have Tony Stark. And with those two movies coming out in that same year, you got to think it in this way. It set off everything in terms of superhero movies now in the mainstream movies and blockbusters. That is the year that kickstarted everything. There's so much to talk. There is so much to talk about, obviously, but I've written down. I mean, we just compared notes before we started the podcast. Forrest quite clearly has written a whole flipping 3,000 worded essay, and I've just put down stuff like Jeff Bridges is amazing.
I think we should go for a general summary, Matt. Maybe.
Yeah.
Just to
let's make this a new feature then. Let's start features, right? This is our new feature, the first ever feature. Forrest, in your best movie voice, I want you to give me the summary. What is the summary of this movie?
Right, the Ironman. Right, so on the tomato meter, 94%.
That's high.
Is it?
That's high. That's like rare, isn't it?
Well, no, I'm an IMDb kind of guy. I don't.
Are you?
Yeah. Do you?
Everyone goes to Rotten Tomatoes. I thought Rotten Tomatoes was the thing that people go to and go, "What's the rating there?"
Oh, really?
Isn't it like measured on like fan votes?
So the fan one. So it's got two here. It's got a tomato meter.
There must be critics.
94%.
Yeah.
And then an audience score of 91%, which I can only imagine is very high.
That's still very, very high, isn't it?
That if anything, that'd be more high, because that's, within that, you're going to have some idiots who've just gone, well, I think 20%, absolute shit.
DC purists.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Batman, who bloody died, much better than this shit. No, I just want to watch, a man wearing a silly little cape and, talking about, getting a Joker and singing it. You hate his voice, don't you? We recently went and watched the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. I never thought in my life I'd ever say that, but Robert Pattinson playing in that role, equally a good film, but you were really pissed off by his voice, weren't you? Absolutely. Well, but it wasn't even the depth of it's whispering. Do not be. You're outside with no one around. There's no reason. Yeah, Batman. We need to. Batman. We gotta find out who did this. Batman. Got any ideas? Who the fuck? No one's there. Just open your mouth. Oh my God. Oh, that is a whole kind of whoop ass you've just opened there, Matt.
I am so entertained by your pure hatred for Batman's voice.
Oh,
have you not heard Kevin Costner's voice? Kevin Conroy. Have you not heard Kevin Conroy's voice as Batman?
No. Yeah, what, an anime? Is that an animated Batman?
Yeah. He was like the original kind of like 90s animated Batman. It's amazing, mate. Anyway, we're getting distracted. We're talking about Batman too much. So maybe it's because this might be the title. This is the title for you. Tony Stark is the new Batman. I'll leave that little one there for you. I'll leave that little bomb for you, mate. There you go. Tony Stark is the new Batman. And it makes sense in the year 2008, all these movies coming out at the same time. All of a sudden, the narrative feels way more of a thing. Did they? And this is the other thing, right? Did like Kevin Feige, and did he know in 2008 that this movie is going to start the next potential 20, 30 years of superhero movies in the Marvel Universe?
Exactly. And that, the setup, the amount of, he's planted it all in there. And I've got a good feeling about this. Right, we're about to get the summary, won't we?
Oh yes, a summary.
We're going to hit a summary of the film.
Oh, okay. All right. Set the scene.
So.
No, go on.
A billionaire, industrialist, and genius inventor, Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr., is conducting weapons tests overseas but terrorists kidnap him to force him to build a devastating weapon. Instead, he builds an armored suit and upends his captors. Returning to America, Stark refines the suit and uses it to combat crime and terrorism.
Oh,
How was that?
that went straight into my ear holes and through my body. The shivers that did.
And that was exactly what I was hoping for.
It worked. Whatever you did there, Forrest, it worked.
There.
Oh my.
I'm definitely going to drop the American accent next time. That's for sure.
When you hear that, right, it's proper like a patriotic movie, isn't it? Like it is. That is an American synopsis for a blockbuster movie. And I think seeing Iron Man as the Marvel equivalent to, Bruce Wayne, there is this patriotic kind of vein running through it throughout, obviously up until Captain America arrives, and then he kind of takes that mantle. But so we kind of start with the introduction to Jason. We start with the introduction to Iron Man in the desert, right? It starts right there, doesn't it? When he's in the car, he's in the Jeep.
Yeah, start straight up. And one of the first thing this is word for word what I put in my notes, right? Stark, suited, booted, an arsehole from the start. Like
100%.
The first conversation, he's dicking around with the other, people in the army. And it is suit and it I tell you what, I felt for the first half an hour of the film, I thought there is an incredibly James Bond vibe about this film. From the technology, if you take it out of the superhero element, which, let's be honest, for the majority of the film it does. He only ever mentioned superhero right at the end of the film, right? When people plant him in as Iron Man, and but you take that away, you got the technology, he's got the girls, he's got the looks, everything about it screams James Bond. He's just American this time.
Mm-hmm.
He's American. He's going to a country where there's not very nice people. He's causing a bit of a scene.
I love the bit where he goes, "Oh, we're doing peace signs," and they're taking photos with him. And I go, "Yeah, I'm down for peace. Peace." And then obviously, everything then goes horrendously wrong. After it, they get attacked and they get cornered, and then there's shrapnel going everywhere. And his ears are ringing, and then it's such an iconic moment now in cinema, especially the MCU. That is the moment. Like I don't know if you've watched the What If series on Disney Plus, Forrest, but like that moment is the moment that kind of starts everything. And there's a What If episode that kind of plays on what if, if Tony Stark didn't get blown up by his own rocket, effectively, own missile. But you see the Stark comes straight in. He looks to his right, and he can see Stark Industries on this missile. Boom! It blows up, and that is the perfect ingredients of kickstarting a movie, because you're just like, what the hell just happened? And that's the thing. Like, we've watched this a few times in our lifetime, so I anticipated. I knew it was coming, right, when I watched it this week. But I just wish I'd known remembered what feelings I had when I watched that for the first time in 2008, because that's not Bruce Banner. That's not Bruce Banner. That's not Bruce Wayne.
It's definitely
Bruce Banner.
He's definitely not Bruce Banner.
He only did a really bad movie back in 2006 with Edward Norton. Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? Yeah. Anyway, Bruce Banner. But like, do you know what I mean? Like that kind of really grips you, and then obviously he gets captured by these terrorists, and then he's thrown into a cave. There's an unsung hero in this part of the movie as well. His partner that he kind of meets in captivity, doesn't he?
So Yinsen.
That's it.
Yinsen.
Sorry,
Yinsen. Yinsen. You didn't...
Sounded like you were sneezing, mate.
Yes. Yes. But right, I tell you what, and this for me, and I suppose you could argue that over the course of the film, there's more explanations and it happens, right? But for me, what is pivotal, the pivotal moment, right, where Tony Stark, starts the Iron Man journey is the body, right? Is the shrapnel getting replaced by, and that is, symbolic on Iron Man, right? He becomes machinery. He's more machinery than he is man, and he gets it, right? That moment happens so quickly, right?
Yeah.
If you think about, because the best way to put it is, you remember the first Deadpool film, right? And you remember we see that journey, right, from standard life to here's Deadpool, and that journey even the montage takes forever and a day, but we love that. We love that journey. In this, like, blink and you miss it. Oh, there he is. Oh, his shrapnel's gone. Oh, he's got this thing in his body, right? He's got that there.
I love the shot that it kind of cranes up, doesn't it, when he's in the ground and he's just been hit by his own missile, and you can see he kind of opens up his bulletproof vest, I think, doesn't he, or something like that, and you can see the blood just kind of like literally seeping out, like gushing out. That's it, and I think it's really exciting. I think it's a really exciting beginning. It packs a punch. You're engaged, your grips, you're in it, it's gritty. And then obviously then you kind of, you're in captivity with him, right? And then you see this kind of, he's brought back to life by this doctor.
Yeah.
And he saves his life, so he's forced to save his life. And then obviously then the terrorists, they try and make him create this Jericho missile. I got a question, right?
Yeah.
If you were Tony Stark, right?
It's not a million, miles away, mate. Rich, successful, good looking, Robert Downey.
Devilishly handsome, mate. If you, you're not Iron Man yet. If you were Tony Stark in that cave, right, and you were forced to build this Jericho missile, would you actually do it? Would you do it?
But have I got the ability to do what he did do?
Yeah. Say you've got everything that he possesses.
Would I make the missile?
Would you? But like, taking the hero element out of it, you're being threatened by terrorists, right?
Oh yeah, and this is going to lean quite quickly into probably my most puzzled during the entire film. But to answer your question quickly before I do so, I absolutely you're going to make the bomb, aren't you? You are
100%
terrified, mate. It's poopy pants time.
You're going to make that bomb, and you're going to say, "Can I please leave now?" And you're probably not going to leave in one piece, but you'll do everything you can to do that, right?
Absolutely,
and that's okay. And I just want the one listener that is listening, to know that that's okay.
Yeah.
If you are cornered by terrorists in a cave and
don't
being
be
told,
an idiot.
Don't be an idiot.
Don't be an idiot.
Don't be a fucking hero.
Christ alive. What? Could you imagine? Well,
this movie's got nothing to do with heroes.
I mean, come on. I think the world would forgive you if it caused, nuclear fallout. Just get out of there, mate. Just do what you're asked to do, for God's sake.
I understand.
But that leans on, right, Matt, to one of my gripes with the film. Why on earth put CCTV in the cave? Right? And I'm talking about the making of the movie, who wrongly decided, in my opinion, to stick CCTV in a cave, right? Because it wouldn't have taken terrorists as long as it did to work out that he was not making the fucking bomb, right? As soon as you're seeing Tony Stark sitting on a table, popping on a leg, you're going to go, right, that doesn't look like a bomb. No one's going, oh, hang on a minute. He's putting a helmet on. He's putting a leg. Christ, this Jericho bomb's, changed a lot since its prototype. You're going to go, that's not a bloody bomb he's making.
Do you know what? Let's compose an email to Jon Favreau and just ask him that straight up. Go, look, mate, look, Jon Favreau, listen, mate. Forget about Mandalorian, all these wonderful things you're directing right now for Disney Plus. Let's hark your eyes back to 2008. Okay, why in God's name is there CCTV in this cave? And by the way, what gave you the right to direct this movie? Because 3 years earlier, you were fucking Daredevil's best mate in that crap movie that came out.
2 points I couldn't agree more on. Why would they have CCTV?
I don't
in a cave like that. Who else are they bringing in? They're going, do you know what? We need to keep a bloody good eye on them. How are they getting the CCTV? Just so many questions about, and that honestly spoiled at least 5 minutes of the movie for me.
I'd like to think that you would do a better job than Jon Favreau, mate.
Oh, I mean, out of all of the things in the film that could make you think that's not realistic, obvious. I'm not going, fuck me, was there, how did he make a suit that he could fly in? I'm just going, the CCTV bit really took it away from me. I mean, he's putting a leg on.
You're sat there in the cinema and you're like, oh, I'm out. I'm out.
I was so for this film.
CCTV in a cat? No, not buying it.
In a cat? Where's the signal coming from? Where's the signal coming from in the cat? Oh yeah, bloody good Wi-Fi down here. I can see just what's going on. Anyway, so that happened. That's in man.
That's amazing. But they basically secretively don't. They secretively build the Mark 1 Ironman suit, Mark 1, which is a great big tin can, effectively.
A great big tin can. And the Mark 1 and Mark 2, that gets said quite a lot throughout the film about, the various versions he makes. Far more than all of them.
When you get to, I mean, we'll find out in our next podcast, but when we get to Iron Man 2, you go, bloody hell, start, mate. You've been busy. You've been making all these different types of Iron Man suits. And and then all of a sudden they blow up. But we'll get to that bit in the next podcast.
Spoiler.
Spoiler?
Absolute spoiler.
That wasn't a spoiler. That was a teaser, one listener. So anyway, how does he get out? How does he get out of this cave?
So he blows the holy shit out of all of the terrorists. But not before Yinsen goes on a little run with a single gun and absolutely blows him to smithereens. Like no fear. That's what I mean. Unsung hero, true hero. That's the human thing, right? Fair enough. You got Tony Stark, who's a bloody really intelligent guy, built this massive fucking, armored suit. But then that dude's just fucking going in and going, no, I'm going for it. And again, I think that's kind of what I really love about superhero movies. Again, is that it's not necessarily the superhero you love. You probably do love them, but equally, it's the characters that are around them that you love, that are more human, without powers or, without that extraordinary ability, that are also heroic, which I think that's pretty cool. So that was a cool moment, I think. But yeah, he blasts Tony Stark in the suit, blasts everybody to smithereens, and he returns home. Right, he returns home from a helicopter. It comes down, and he gets taken back home by. He gets found by the U.S. military or Air Force, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is currently under command of not Don Cheadle. I'm going to call him not Don Cheadle, but he's playing Don Cheadle's part, as in Colonel Rhodes.
Yeah.
What's his name? What's the actor's name? It's escaped my brain.
I can tell you because this is.
By the way, and this is no shade to Don John Cheadle.
Jim Rhodes, played by Terrence Howard, by the way.
Terrence Howard is a sound actor. He is so good. And I really loved his performance in this. And I'm really intrigued to why he didn't carry on with that part, or what happened there, and why did they decide to get Don Cheadle in. Don Cheadle equally is great, but I think, you know, he really made this role fun and likable. But he gets saved by him, and Tony Stark gets back home. And when he gets back home, the first thing he does, he wants a cheeseburger. And he has a couple of cheeseburgers before he goes into press conference. And that, I tell you what, mate, that cheeseburger looks so flipping satisfying.
Gorgeous.
The way he eat, I mean, we're deep diving here, but the way Robert Downey Jr. took the acting choice to go, I'm just going to actually stuff my face with that cheeseburger. He doesn't eat it, he devours it. And I go, I want some of that.
Yeah. Oh, he absolutely goes for it. Goes to town.
He absolutely goes to town on that. I'm going to go with my first gripe on the movie.
First gripe.
And unfortunately, this gripe kind of continues all the way through to Endgame.
Long gripe.
Well, it's Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, really?
I think and I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I'm just going to flip and say it. I don't think she's very good.
Oh,
I don't. I think she's charmless. I think it's 2D. I don't think her character really develops until Infinity War, maybe. And by that time, for me, it's too late, mate. You had 3 Iron Man movies. And the other thing is, in her press tours, she doesn't watch the movies. She didn't even know who Tom Holland was when she did like a press conference tours with it. She didn't even know she was in the Spider-Man movie. She just thought she was just doing some other Marvel movie. She didn't know she was filming for Spider-Man Homecoming. Right? I don't know. I might be biased. I would
also. It wasn't a gripe with me, but I don't understand where you come from with it. But the only counter argument I would have about Pepper Potts, right, and Gwyneth Paltrow, is that actually, given Tony Stark, right, and is it that he had to be so out there, right, and so wild and so bachelor-esque, right, that actually they needed to find an actress and they needed a character of Pepper Potts that was very centered, that not too out there, you can't detract away from Iron Man. That's where the central focus needed to be, right? It's a big film, and because we've not even got, may I add, to my favorite person in the film, Obadiah.
Oh my God. Can we talk? Let's just talk about Obadiah right now. Jeff flipping Bridges, mate.
Oh my God. Honestly, Jeff absolutely wild.
He steals it. Brilliant. I think he steals it.
Oh, 100%. Jeff Bridges, I would almost at parts beat Robert Downey Jr. in this film in terms of my favorite.
I think he does. I think he outacts him, and I think he makes the most of every single scene. He is not your usual like villain.
No.
He is. I mean, and yes, there are stories and Marvel, DC comic stories where the person that's closest to you ends up becoming the villain. That's classic. We know that, right? But what I love is this kind of like surrogacy fatherhood that maybe wasn't even intentional. It feels kind of almost forced upon. And he feels like he should be the one that be taking the mantle over the Stark Industries. And he's the one that feels like he's got this young bachelor, Tony Stark Jr., that's under his wing. And he's the one that he has to take care of. And then suddenly it kind of turns on its head, and there's the true intentions of Obadiah come through, and every single scene he's in is layered, it's complex, there is intent. And and the reason why we're talking like this, by the way, we probably should have said this in the beginning of the podcast, is that we are actors ourselves, right? So we can see the actions taking place, we can see the subtext, right? And you can feel it. You fucking feel it. And it's throughout the film, even when he starts turning. I think it's the moment, and we'll come, and what we're winding forward. We'll go backwards and forwards, no doubt in this, but like the when we wind forward where he is making the suit, I think he's just done the paint on the new Ironman suit, and he goes out to this press conference and people weren't expecting him to be there. And Obadiah just kind of puts his arm around him and just says a couple of lines, and he's kind of like waving to the cameras and the paparazzi, but he's gone, no, those those weapons we're selling those to those people, and that's how we're doing it. I'm in charge. You stay in your box, mate. You stay in your line. And he leaves him there. It's amazing
scene of that public and public and personal, that private and public. How that acting is hard. To be able to, have that cutaway conversation and be like, right, this is my true intent, my true feeling, but absolutely on the public persona is going to be, giving it large. And the Obadiah, right, the storytelling is insane, because what from the moment you see, we see that video clip, don't we, about the history of the Stark Industries, right? And it goes right. Is it Howard Stark?
Howard Stark, yeah.
Howard Stark, right? All about Howard Stark. And you get a long, not a long, but you get a lengthier shot of Howard Stark and a little talk about Howard Stark. Then you get a literal glimpse of Obadiah, right? Obadiah's reign on Stark Industry, right? So it's like Howard Stark, blah, 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 blah. Obadiah, Tony Stark, blah, 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 blah. And I knew from the moment that happened, I went, hang on a minute. And we went well too quickly away from Obadiah here, right? Yeah. And you knew, there's going to be something more here. Well, Obadiah's not going to be happy that Tony Stark's, suddenly taken that power away, and voila. But
I think, this is another gripe for me. It's not a gripe. Maybe it's not a gripe, right? It's probably more of a curiosity or something like I'd like this is my plea for the MCU. If Kevin Feige, if you're listening right now, mate, if you're the one listener, Kevin Feige, I want you to listen to my voice right now, Kevin Feige. Are you listening? Stop driving, Kevin Feige. Pull over. Kevin, K-Dog.
K-Doggy Dog.
Are you listening? Good. Because this is what I'm about to say, is that I would very much like to see an Obadiah-focused miniseries.
Oh, my God, yes.
Because I think there is so much to potentially play around with that character. And this is the thing, his fate is sealed in this one movie. And nothing really gets spoken about after.
But, right. So he has a scene with your favorite actress in the film, Gwyneth Paltrow. He has a scene where
dead eyes. She got dead eyes.
Where Pepper has just put the USB in. She's taken all the information, right, about Sector 6. And
I thought you said Sector 6.
No, Sector 6.
I was like, you watched the wrong movie, mate. It was on Pornhub, man.
I've seen the parody. Hard Man.
I am hard man.
So their scene, right? And I was looking at Obadiah, Kevin Bridges' face, right? Literally, I'm going to say one word, and one word only, right, Matt?
Thanos? Go on. I'm intrigued.
Shape of Kevin Bridges' face.
Jeff Bridges. Kevin Bridges.
Kevin Bridges got a completely different face.
Could you imagine Kevin Bridges?
Me and you are not good at first names. I'm just going to shoot it out there. That's about the fourth time. Jeff Bridges. Kevin Scott. Kevin
Bridges. I need to look at a picture of Kevin Bridges now, because that is
Kevin Bridges.
Is that a Scottish guy?
Yeah, I think so.
We Kevin Bridges. Whoa, what the fuck, man?
Thanos.
Fucking Thanos. Anyway, go on, mate. Jeff Bridges. Yeah.
Jeff Bridges. The chin on Jeff Bridges. Have you got a photo of him? Look, right. You look at him when he was Obadiah. Obviously now he's old hat, but Obadiah, he literally has the structure of Thanos, right? The whole facial structure of Thanos, and the threatening manner of which he talks, and he's got quite a deep voice, but I love it. And he, some of the things he said reminded me of Thanos, and immediately I was like, "Hang on a moment, hang on a damn moment." I had to look up to make sure. I realised it wasn't Thanos. What's the actor? You'll know.
Josh Brolin.
That's it. So I had to look. I looked it up and I went, "Yeah, of course it's not him." But honestly. And then, right, so that was already in my mind, and I was kind of doing some digging. There were a couple of Reddit conversations online where people have vaguely gone, "Oh yeah, Obadiah, maybe." And then at the end, he hit right once that Gwyneth clicks the button, right, and the roof explodes, and then we just see it just go up, right. Mm-hmm. That suit with Obadiah goes up into the sky.
I was thinking this. I was like, that's quite an ominous death. You don't really see him dead.
And where's confirmed? Where's the first place we see Thanos?
You think? Right. Are you saying,
mate,
that Obadiah transforms into the celestial Thanos?
I'm saying, right, and this my good old friend on Reddit, somewhere deep in the deep dark depths of Reddit, said that Thanos, it was all about alternate universes, right? And when he clicks his fingers as an alternate, and it jumping out here, who's to say that one of those isn't Obadiah, becomes Thanos?
That's a what if episode, mate. That is, if ever I've heard one, that is a what if episode.
Could you imagine Jeff Bridges as Thanos? Because I damn can.
100%. 100%. Though I have to admit, Josh Brolin was pretty fucking good.
He's fantastic. I'm just going to leave that there.
That's pretty outstanding. I do, and this is the thing. I think the reason why we're putting Jeff Bridges over so much is that he is that good, and he was that good in the film. And I think we need to see more of what happened. If that is his death, fine. If in this linear universe that we are currently in the MCU, I know right now the multiverse is being opened up for us, which is not confusing at all, but we're loving it. But equally, if this is the universe that we're living in, then can we just see the moments between Howard Stark's death and Obadiah taking over and putting a young Tony Stark under his wing, and seeing Tony Stark go through this bachelor life and being ridiculously clever and coming up with these ideas, just getting a glimpse of the Ironman before, everything that's happened, and then just seeing Obadiah as well, kind of this kind of evil, kind of like Game of Thrones-esque, power. He wants the throne, right? He wants the throne to Stark Industries. I just feel like there's legs in that, and I feel like that's something that, for me, as much as I flipping love this movie, that was the one thing I was like, I just wish there was more of that, more of getting to know that character a little bit more, maybe. I've got a question, mate. What's your favorite line in the movie?
Right. Answer. I'll put it down here. So his line towards the end, right? And the reason is they're talking about superheroes. And yeah, again, it's your favorite character, Pepper, but it's not her line. It's not her line, though. It's
good. I was about to say, mate.
No, it's Stark's line, and he says, "If I was Iron Man, I'd have this girlfriend who would know my true identity." And then he goes on a bit and he says, "Proud of the man I become." Right? She would be proud of the man I become. Right? And it's alluding to Potts being this being the woman, right? Being this person. But when I first heard him say, and bearing it, all of the context around it being superhero, if I was Iron Man, I'd have this girlfriend who would know my true identity. Where have we heard that before? True identity, girlfriend, superhero,
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that harks. That is a
Tony
round
Stark.
circle.
Who does Tony Stark befriend?
He puts under his wing Peter Parker. That's amazing. Why didn't they use that as a clip? Why haven't they used that as a kind of like,
Mate,
you know, that's amazing.
And it is so small. It's so, and it is a little bit of reaching because he doesn't. If he'd have said superhero instead of Iron Man, if I was a superhero, that would be insane. But it's, for me, it's enough to claw at it and go, actually, if you want to look, deep in, that sounds like a bit of Spider-Man action to me.
That's amazing. And that, wow. My favorite line is delivered by none other than Jeff Bridges. And it's when he is trying to get the arc reactor. It is called the arc reactor, isn't it? That's in Iron Man's chest.
Yeah.
Built for him to use. And there's the scientist that is actually he is the same scientist that is in Spider-Man Far From Home, the second one. So he's the one that worked for Stark Industries, then got sacked from Stark Industries, and then he became a freelancer, then got in with Jake Gyllenhaal's character as Mysterio, and then he's in it. Like, so there's this, he's got this, what an amazing job, right? To be in that movie in 2008 to then be in another MCU movie.
I love that.
Almost 10 years
Never clicked on
after.
that.
It's mate, watch it. It's incredible. Right. Anyway, he has a conversation with that scientist, and he basically just has he's losing his temper. And it's just, again, the way it happens, the way it's delivered. It's so sharp. It's quick. He comes over to me. Have you built it yet? Have you built it yet? No, I know. We've had some complications about it. Have you built it? And then he just turns. And with that turn, and it happens in the shot, this what must have not been planned, but happens in the shot where he kind of like turns, he points on his chest. And with that, his tie floops over with authority. Like, just what do I do with my cable there? Right. But then he says, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a bunch of scraps. And there's that pause, which I feel like it's improvised. I want you to go back and watch that right after this podcast, and I want you to tell me whether you think that's improvised. Because he goes, Tony Stark built this in a cave, points at him, and that authority's already been set. And he goes, with a bunch of scraps. And you're like, oh, you need to hurry up and get this done, mate, or you're going to get fired. Like, that is, it's a really simple line. I think it's a really simple line. I think it's yet delivered brilliantly, and it's the authority, and the loose cannon kind of esque feeling comes out of the character through there. And I just really like it. It doesn't further the plot very much. It doesn't really bring much to the movie as a whole, but it's just the way it's delivered. I just think that's great. And it's whether it's improvised or not, that moment, I don't know. But like, it's those kind of moments I go, that's fucking good. That's good character work there.
Yeah. I'm gonna pop this in here. Loving Agent Coulson coming in and out.
Do you know what I was just about to say? Agent Coulson arrives proposing to Pepper about the SHIELD initiative. And I just love how kind of like, hey, yeah, we've got this thing going on. It's called the SHIELD initiative. We just, we are SHIELD. And we are we just want you don't want to. I love it. I love Agent Coulson.
He is.
I love him.
Agent big fan. The other person, big shout out to how little and tiny a character Hogan is.
Happy Hogan,
mate.
I know, and this is the thing.
How minuscule is his part in this film compared to where we know he heads, right? And we know how much of a fan favorite.
Big time.
becomes.
Big
and in
time.
this, you know, you see him but he doesn't even get a name for like half the film.
But again, that's the kind of characters we gravitate to because he ain't got no powers.
Yeah.
He ain't got no powers. And it, you know, if, you know, spoilers, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched any of these movies, go and watch them before you listen to these because spoilers.
To be honest, Pat, if you've got to this point in a podcast and you've gone, bloody hell, this, you know,
oh wait, what's this?
This sounds intriguing to say the least. Then honestly, if you haven't watched it and you are just blind listening to this, that is some. To be fair, I want to shake your hand. I want you to, you know, get in touch with it. I want to shake your hand if you've got this far and you're just like, yeah, I'm just in it for the journey. I got no idea. What these two are talking about, but I'm thoroughly enjoying
fully in. But like, spoiler, Tony Stark dies, doesn't he? Right? Oh yeah, he dies, and it's sad, and everybody's upset. But if ever Happy Hogan was to die, I would be distraught for weeks. You know, he is Jon Favreau. I mean, he's a flipping legend, isn't he? I mean, we were talking shit to Joe about Jon Favreau about half an hour ago.
I mean, but you were talking. you were going to town.
Jon Favreau, I think you're really great. If you're listening, John, are you listening, John? John, can you just stop that video for a moment? Yeah. Can you listening? I really, really thoroughly enjoy all your work. I think the way that you directed Elf the movie was fantastic. Please, can you cast me? All right, here we go.
Can we make a big shout out to the first ever cameo of Mr. Marvel, Mr. Stan Lee?
Oh, he was, and then he got mistaken to be Hugh Hefner, which I think is really funny.
Hilarious.
In that bit. It's really
Absolutely
good.
Hilarious. It's in your favourite scene as well. That is when Tony arrives. Shouldn't arrive.
Yep.
And yeah,
good moment.
That was a bittersweet moment. Seeing him and going, yeah, it's gonna be no more of this.
I feel like we should probably mention just in memoriam, just for the great Stan Lee. Maybe every single one that we do, we talk about that moment that he kind of cameos in and sort of like have a little deep dive into that. I think that our respects, because obviously without him, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. And genuinely, like, how could he have done this? Do you know what I mean? Like all of this work with these superheroes that he created and the lives and the characters that he made. And then these stories have just been taking its own new life with other people chipping in, like Jon Favreau, cast me. And then, you know, all those kind of things. Great. Stan Lee, hero, absolute hero, man.
Favorite fight scene.
Favorite fight scene. That's good.
To you, Matt. I want to know your favorite fight scene from Iron Man, please.
My favorite fight scene in Iron Man.
Sorry, favorite fight scene or particular fight scene moment. There you go.
I can tell you what moment I don't like in terms of fight scene.
Just completely rip up that question. that's fine. Yeah, it's just pose your own question. That's what was your least favorite moment? That's it. Yeah,
I'm not going to listen to the question you asked me, and I'm going to raise you with my own question to myself. No, I will answer your question, mate. I will. Right. Okay. My favorite moment is the first time he goes out as Iron Man and to save the family that was split up by his, this kid pleading for his dad's life, and the dad's about to get killed by these terrorists, and then Iron Man turns up and just tactically as well, just nails everybody out there. He just goes, he saves all the civilians. So, and he kind of takes out all the Stark Industry staff, and then there's this wonderful shot where he fires a missile at a tank, turns around, he walks away, and it blows up, and there's fire behind him. It's this really awesome, badass moment, and I love it. It is my favorite fight moment, non-fight, moment. But there is one bit, and unfortunately, it is the main fight at the end. For me, I just didn't like it. I think the fight was labored for starters. We didn't get enough introduction into what Obadiah was doing with this Mark 1 suit. I really didn't like the fact that they changed his voice in the Mark 1 voice. Like when he was in the suit, Jeff Bridges' voice, Obadiah's voice was like this, kind of like Batman, mate, right? And I'm like, well, when Tony Stark speaks in his Iron Man outfit, he talks like Tony Stark. So why are you talking like some sort of weird maniacal villain? So that kind of choice kind of threw me a little bit. I think the car scene where they kind of pick up the car and all that kind of stuff, it's like it's been done before. It's been done before.
Oh, we are about to have our first disagreement.
Oh, all right, here we go. Okay. I wasn't anticipating this to happen in the first podcast, but let's go.
The car moment, and can I be specific as to the specific car moment we're talking about is Iron Man lifts up the car, or like stops the car, and then the car kind of tilts, and you see the family inside. Yeah. So that, for me, Marvel, one of the finest things with Marvel, right? Which, having just watched the Batman, DC can't do for shit, is within their chase scenes, Marvel always remember the public around them, right? And I value that. And by that, I mean, you appreciate that this is happening in a civilized world, right? There's other people about that, people are worried. Take the newest Spider-Man, right? When that all kicks off on the motorway, first thing we see is people, the woman in the car tilting over, worried, right? That for me is one of the finest things about car chases, fight scenes in the Marvel universe, is they really, really make sure they add the public element, right? And seeing that family completely terrified, right? For me, that scene could be made into the finest comedy if that family was the same family in the film Step Brothers. When they start singing "Sweet Child," imagine if they're just pumping.
She got stars that seem to me. You're so flat. $100 a lesson.
And then suddenly, Iron Man just tilts them up, and they're petrified shit. Sweet child. It should be absolute. If someone can just merge those scenes together, I would. If that was
included, that would undoubtedly be my favorite moment, right? And my favorite fight scene, right? But for that exact reason that you're saying, Forrest, which I respect, mate, I love, right? Yeah, it's the whole reason why I really didn't like that scene.
So
because it happens all the. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Janie's driving a car in the four-wheeler with her 3 kids coming in down the highway, the A120.
I don't know. It in the real world, though, man.
I don't care. I don't care whether she's going to fucking taking old fucking Candace to a fucking gymnastics session in the evening, and fucking Iron Man and fucking Obadiah turns up in front of him. I don't care. I care about the 2 characters that are fighting. I don't care about little human characters that are coming in.
Nothing would make me more sadder. Nothing would make me cry more in a cinema is if little Angela doesn't make a dance class, because either Angela's dead or a mum and dad have just been completely battered by Obadiah and them. If that doesn't drive you to tears, Matt, maybe that should have been the end scene. Angela thoroughly enjoying a ballet.
Or maybe it just shouldn't have happened because nobody really cares.
Well,
this is exciting. I'm excited by this. I feel like we've done an adequate amount of deep diving into Iron Man.
Before we
have you got anything? Yeah, have you got anything else to?
Shall we talk about that end credit scene?
Oh yes, let's. We see a silhouetted figure, don't we, in Tony Stark's apartment, and the silhouetted figure then turns round to then be revealed to be Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury. And Nick Fury then, proposes to him the Avengers Initiative, which sets up the next 20 plus movies that we now have under our MCU belt. Which is, God, man, how exciting to deliver those lines. Do you know what I mean? If you had the opportunity, and as well, little probably did they know at the time how much success this all would have had.
And if you're out of anyone who wouldn't have known that, it's Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Chances are he's not read, I can't imagine Samuel was someone who's read the comics, knows much about those worlds. I could be completely wrong. Samuel, if you're listening, drop us an email. Lovely to hear from you. But I can't imagine that he, knew much about that world. So when he had to deliver that line, he was like, "Oh yeah, this is cool. This is cool. Getting decent couple of £100 in my bank for this." But yeah, what a moment in cinematic history that would later become.
Big time. And nothing really is said. It's just that kind of, starts like, who the hell are you? I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. And it cuts to black. And then that's it. That's the end of the movie. This is good. I'm excited. This is bringing in the kind of the love for the MCU. This is bringing back kind of nostalgic feelings as well, in particular. I've got a funny ass story to tell you when we get to the first Avengers, mate. Holy crap. You get ready. Honestly, I've locked myself in with the seatbelt, and I embrace for the journey. I've got pictures and everything. It's
pictures.
Oh yeah,
pictures. I thought.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. This is honestly, it's been an absolute whirlwind. It's been a dream.
It's been a dream. It's been a journey.
Fully enjoyed it, and I can't wait for Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2. Bring it on. Bring it on.
So to round up, that's been myself, Forrest.
Matt.
This old guy, Matt. And we've been the Guardians of the Multiverse.
I waved again, mate.
Gone back to that wave. Although that's brought it to my eye because it was less ecstatic than it was about 5 hours ago when this started. But
I became conscious of it quicker. Do you know what I mean? Like, I pulled myself back.
As soon as that hand got in the air, no, it's time to come back down. Come back
right.
down.
Till next time, my friend.
See you next time on the Guardians of the Multiverse.